Alright, so new magic trick time. As you know, I am an environmental guy, but problem is soda cans. They're not environmentally friendly.
How is that true?
No, so been working on this. I have two solutions for making them more environmentally friendly. The first one is take your green marker and draw on the can and you make it green. But that's more of a visual thing than anything else. It doesn't really fix the solution in my opinion. So I've also come up with a second solution for this. The second solution is a little bit more of a magical one. All I do is I just give the can a bit of a shake and it turns itself into, can I have you hold out your hand for me? Into a clear, reusable glass cup. Hello. Now don't let this hat deceive you. I'm not actually Michael O'Brien. My name is Francisco Alvaro, but my business cards just call me Fran the Magic Man. I've been given this opportunity today to show you guys my version of Omni-Coke. When first brought up with the challenge of coming up with a method, I wanted to make one that was very walk-around friendly. But to show you what I've done, I'm going to have to change up the angle a little bit. So let's switch things up. Alright, perfect. So the first thing I was thinking when I was trying to come up with this trick, I didn't really want there to be you cut the bottom of a can out, you disguise the can over the cup, and then you use a tube to pull it off. That requires a table and it makes it way more restricting for walk-arounds. So I was trying to come up with some other ways to do it, and that's when I realized that if you just take a drink cozy and you put it on the cup, you only need to cover about 10% of the cup to actually convince that the whole thing is a can, because of course the rest is the can, it's in a cozy. So that's where you're going to start making the actual gimmick. I used these larger Coke cans just because that was what was available the closest. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut right around where it has the information for the calorie levels. Up to you how low or high you cut it. The shorter the gimmick is, the easier it is going to be to take it off when you're performing, but it also makes it more likely that it's just going to pop off randomly, makes it way more delicate. The longer you cut it, it's going to stay on better, but it's going to be a little bit tougher taking it off, so that's up for you to decide. Just generally the area where it tells you how many calories are in a Coke. And then you end up with something like this. The next step in making it is you're going to want to take some scissors and you're going to cut a little slit along the top, preferably the back where you're not going to be showing it to your audience. This is simply because the inside of the can gimmick is going to be slightly smaller than the outside of the can. So fitting it on there without that is going to be a little bit difficult. I can actually show you what happens when you don't cut the slit. Basically, I was pushing it down and it split itself, and I had to cut it up like this so that I want to cut myself trying to perform the trick. This is way harder to manage than just this, so I would 100% recommend cutting the slit before trying to do this. And then once you have that, just make sure you have the cozy as high up as it goes, and you just slide your top gimmick over it and just kind of go around, make sure there's no spots where it's peeking out from it, and you're basically ready to go. That's all you really need to do, and it looks almost 100% like a Coke can. The only two areas of interest is the slit will be opened up a bit, but that can easily be covered by your thumb when you're holding it and walking around. Just don't perform the trick with that part facing out. And maybe if it's really bright outside, they might be able to notice the glass at the bottom. I've never had a problem with this. Don't run if you're not being chased. Also, most of the time, people are focused more to the top of a Coke can than the bottom of a Coke can, just based off of what you do with a Coke can. So yeah, there's no real issue there. So now we're going to go into kind of how the performance goes. I'm going to be doing this based off of my personal performance, like the routine I've come up with. Feel free to come up with your own, but I'm just going to be explaining it based off of that. So the first thing you're going to need is your green writing device. I use this marker because I use it for some of my other stuff. You can use any type of writing utensil you prefer. Green for my particular script though. So you're going to have that starting off in your jacket pocket. And then from there, you're gonna have the Coke can. You can honestly just walk up with it, do this as an opener, or just set it down at your feet, do a few tricks. Then you can go into this one either maybe after you do like an Omni deck trick, or before, or right before you do some coin to cup routines. The cup is really good for that stuff. It's a really good size for that. So basically, you'll just start off with it. I usually start it off with my left hand, thumb covering the slit, makes it harder to see. And I just go into how I'm trying to be more environmentally friendly, but aluminum cans aren't the most environmentally friendly, and I tell them I've come up with 2 solutions to fix this. And the first solution, and this is when I go to get the green marker out of my pocket, I just tell them as a joke, the first method to make it more green is to take your marker and you color it in green. Hopefully, if you're lucky, that gets some laughs. If not, just keep going. Kind of helps diffuse the tension. It also gives you a reason to go back into your pocket, because now you're going to do the part where you remove the can so that it can turn into a cup. And what I usually do, it's a bit of a weird palm for actually doing this. I'm going to try to have as much of a exposed view as possible. What you're going to do is usually have it go around center of your hand, and then you can just close your hand around it. So if you were holding it, it'd be exactly like this. And this just makes it so that it kind of gets it into the proper holds so that it doesn't like slip out or anything. You do have to be a little bit careful of that. And then all you're going to do is turn the can down. You're going to turn the cup with your right hand down and towards you, and then the left hand is going to turn the top down and away from down and to the left. Sorry. So this hand's going to be down and towards you. This hand's going to go down and to the left. And you end up doing something like that. Now you can probably see it a little bit peeking out, but usually when you're all standing, it's really hard for them to notice this. And then this hides, and then if you're holding it this way, it kind of hides the fact that it's already turned into a glass, so that there's a little bit more time before you reveal that. What's also nice is at this point, you're also going to have the marker in your hand at this point. So you've told the joke, hopefully they're laughing, and then when you grab it, you have the marker in your hand as well. So then you'll be doing the move as you go back to put the marker into your pocket. So it will, and then you can just slide the marker and the top of the can into your pocket like that, and you're basically good to go for the rest of the trick at that point. A little bit of a convincer, because this can look a little bit weird when you're showing someone, when you're doing the trick. This might look a little weird. What I usually do is while I'm doing all that, I'm taking it off and I'm putting it in my pocket. That's when I'll say, all right, but I have a second method for doing this. The second method is, and I'll just kind of use my fingers and point out a number 2 just for the second method. This way it's just like I'm showing them the second method, and it kind of conceals the fact that, hey, I might be hiding something here. They don't really think about it too much, I don't think, so it's not really that much of an issue. And then from this point, the trick is basically all done. All you gotta do is the second method is I shake the can a bit and it turns into a glass. You can have them hold out your hand and just squeeze the cup out of the koozie into their hand, and then that way the koozie's empty, the glass is clear, your hands are empty, and you basically have everything right there that they're going to want to see. They're not going to be thinking, oh, he must have the rest of the can in his pocket or anything. That's not really something they usually think about. One thing you might be worried about, I know I was when I was first working on this, some of you probably heard that the can does make a little bit of a sound sometimes when you let it off. I know in the performance video that you saw before this, there was a slight sound of the can coming off when I was performing it. That's another scenario of don't run if you're not being chased. Most of the time you're performing in scenarios where it's not going to be quiet. You're going to be in bars and outdoors and stuff like that, so people are going to be talking, there's going to be noise. Very rarely are people going to actually actively hear it if it makes any kind of clicking sound at all. And if anything, if I noticed, a lot of times you have the pen in your hand at that point, the pen or the marker, and if they hear anything, they kind of just offhandedly accustom it to the marker possibly hitting the can or something. They don't really think about it if they even hear it at all. So I think that's everything I've touched on for having to perform this. So switch to the outro. And that's my version of Omni-Coke. I hope you guys enjoyed and perform it. I'd like to thank my friends, Robbie, Troy, and Vin, for helping me with equipment, filming, and editing. I'd like to again thank Michael O'Brien for giving me the opportunity to teach you all this trick. And if you'd like to see more from me, you can follow me at my Instagram, at MagicManFran. Keep coming back to O'Brien Magic for more great magic videos, and I'll see you all later. Bye.